The fluorescent lights in Iron Forge Gym hummed faintly as the late afternoon crowd pushed through their sets. Dumbbells clanged, treadmills roared, and the faint smell of chalk and sweat hung in the air. It was just another Tuesday in Jacksonville, Florida, a city where gyms stayed busy year-round thanks to the warm climate and endless streams of military veterans keeping themselves in shape. Among the crowd stood Marcus Hill, a tall black man in his late 30s, built like a tank but moving with the calm precision of someone who knew control better than anyone else. His close-cropped hair and faint scars across his knuckles gave hints of his past, though to most people in the gym, he was just another regular. Marcus had been a member at Iron Forge for 3 years, never causing trouble, always keeping to himself. He didn't brag, didn't show off, and rarely talked about the fact that he had once served as a Navy SEAL, with deployments across Iraq and Afghanistan. To Marcus, that life was behind him, at least that's what he told himself. On this particular afternoon, Marcus was finishing his heavy deadlifts. He pulled the barbell with such quiet power that people stopped mid-set to glance at him. 4 plates on each side moved as if they were nothing. He lowered the bar gently, never slamming weights the way younger guys did. That's when he noticed a commotion near the entrance. A police officer in a crisp blue uniform had walked in, his hand already resting near his holster. He was young, maybe mid-20s, with a buzz cut and a posture that screamed authority mixed with insecurity. His name tag read Officer Brad Whittaker. "Sir," Whittaker's voice boomed, drawing too much attention. The gym fell quieter. "Step away from the weights." Marcus straightened, confusion crossing his face. "You talking to me?" "You heard me," the officer said, marching closer. His eyes narrowed like he'd already decided Marcus was guilty of something. "Put your hands where I can see them." The gym-goers froze, phones quietly slipping out of pockets, cameras ready. No one dared interfere. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "What's this about?" His voice was calm, deep, steady, the kind of voice that came from years of giving commands under fire. "You match the description of a suspect," Whittaker barked. "Black male, 6'2", muscular build, seen leaving the scene of a break-in last night." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A couple of people shook their heads. They knew Marcus. He was here almost every evening at the same time. Still, Whittaker's tone made the situation volatile. Marcus set his chalked hands on his thighs and exhaled slowly. "Officer, I've been here. Check the cameras, check my membership log. I swipe in every time." Whittaker didn't want to listen. He stepped closer, hand now firmly gripping the holster of his gun. "I said hands where I can see them. Now." The tension in the gym thickened like smoke. Marcus raised his hands, palms out, showing no aggression. But his eyes locked onto the officer with a sharpness that made Whittaker hesitate for half a second. "You really want to do this here?" Marcus asked, his voice low. Whittaker sneered, mistaking Marcus's calm for defiance. "Don't test me. You think being big and tough means you can ignore the law." Marcus's jaw tightened, memories of combat flickering through his mind, moments when bad judgment from someone in charge had cost lives. He saw the rookie cops shaking fingers on the holster and knew this situation could spiral fast. A gym member, an older woman named Linda Cooper, called out from the back, "Officer, he's not who you're looking for. That's Marcus. He's been here every day this week." But Whittaker ignored her. He lunged forward, trying to grab Marcus's wrist. Marcus moved instinctively, not aggressively, just enough to avoid being yanked around. With a simple twist, he redirected the officer's grip and stepped back. It was controlled, precise, the kind of move taught in military training to neutralize without harm. Gasps filled the gym, phones captured everything. Whittaker stumbled, red-faced, anger boiling. "Resisting arrest, huh?" he shouted. "That's another charge." Marcus stared at him, his voice steady but firm. "Officer, you need to think real carefully about your next move." And in that moment, the line between misunderstanding and disaster became razor-thin. The weight room was silent now, the kind of silence that crackled with fear. Even the treadmills and machines seemed to fade into the background. Every eye in Iron Forge Gym was glued to Marcus and Officer Whittaker. Whittaker's hand twitched near his holster, but he hesitated. He hadn't expected Marcus to move that quickly. It wasn't a violent move, but it was precise, practiced. The kind of move you didn't just pick up. Marcus kept his palms open, his body relaxed. His voice carried authority without being loud. "Officer, listen to me. You're about to make a mistake you can't take back." Whittaker's pride burned hotter than his caution. He'd been on the force barely 3 years, and he hated being challenged, especially in front of a crowd. "Don't tell me how to do my job," he snapped. A couple of younger guys near the dumbbell racks whispered to each other. One muttered, "Dude, that's Marcus Hill. He's former military, like top tier. The other shook his head. That cop has no idea who he's messing with. Marcus caught the words but stayed focused. He saw Whittaker's trembling hands, the sweat gathering at his temple. He recognized the look, fear wrapped in arrogance. He'd seen it before overseas in young soldiers who thought power came from holding a weapon. "Officer," Marcus said carefully, "I served this country. I've been in situations 10 times worse than this. I'm not your suspect, but if you put your hands on me again, I will defend myself, and I promise you, you don't want that." Whittaker's jaw tightened. The words "serve this country" only made him angrier. "Don't play the hero card with me," he barked, his voice louder now, desperate to reassert control. "Get on the ground, face down, hands behind your back. Now." The gym members shifted uncomfortably. Linda Cooper, the older woman, called out again, her voice firmer this time. "You're making a fool of yourself, officer. Marcus isn't a criminal. He's a veteran." Whittaker ignored her. He pulled his baton with a sharp snap. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the tense room. "Last warning." Marcus's eyes narrowed. He remembered the words his SEAL instructor had drilled into him. De-escalate if you can. Control if you must. The baton swung. Marcus's body moved before his mind even registered the choice. He sidestepped, his left hand catching Whittaker's wrist mid-swing. With a fluid pivot, he twisted the baton out of the officer's grip and set it down on the floor in one smooth motion. It happened so fast, half the gym gasped before realizing what they'd seen. Marcus didn't strike, he didn't shove. He just immobilized, his voice was steady. "That's enough." But Whittaker wasn't done. Humiliation turned his face red. "You assaulted an officer," he screamed, lunging again, this time reaching for his gun. A ripple of horror ran through the gym. Someone shouted, "Don't do it." Another yelled, "He's unarmed." Phones tilted up, cameras catching every second. Marcus's eyes locked onto the weapon, his instincts firing. He disarmed enemies overseas in close-quarters combat, but this was different. This wasn't a war zone, it was his hometown gym. He couldn't cross the line, but he couldn't let a panicked rookie point a gun at him either. In a heartbeat, Marcus stepped inside Whittaker's reach. His right hand clamped onto the officer's forearm, his left pressed against the grip of the gun, redirecting it upward. With controlled pressure, he forced Whittaker's arm back without hurting him, just neutralizing. The gun stayed pointed toward the ceiling. "Stop it," Marcus barked, his command voice cutting through the chaos. The same tone he'd once used to halt firefights in villages overseas. "You're gonna shoot somebody if you keep this up." The officer strained, but Marcus's strength and training were overwhelming. He held the young cop steady without striking, without rage, just calm efficiency. Whittaker's breathing turned ragged. His pride was in shreds, but his body wasn't winning this fight. For the first time, fear cracked through his bravado. Then the gym doors burst open. Another officer rushed in, this one older, stockier, with grey streaks in his hair. His badge read Sergeant David Keller. "Whittaker," Keller's voice thundered, full of authority Whittaker lacked. "What the hell is going on here?" The entire gym seemed to exhale. Marcus immediately released Whittaker's arm and stepped back, palms open again. He wasn't about to give anyone a reason to call this aggression. Whittaker stumbled, red-faced, shouting, "He resisted. He assaulted me." Keller's sharp eyes took in the scene, the baton on the floor, the crowd of witnesses, the cameras raised high, the calm stance of Marcus compared to Whittaker's wild panic. It didn't take long for him to see who the real problem was. "Everyone stay calm," Keller said, his voice measured. He looked at Marcus. "Sir, are you all right?" Marcus nodded once. "I'm fine, but your officer here almost escalated something that didn't need escalating." Whittaker's mouth fell open in outrage. "You're believing him, he. Keller cut him off. "Enough," his tone was final. But the damage was already done. The videos, the crowd, the story, it was all out there. And Marcus, though he hadn't wanted it, was once again pulled into a battle he thought he'd left behind. By the time the second squad car pulled up outside Iron Forge Gym, the scene was already all over social media. Half a dozen phones had streamed the confrontation live, the videos now racing across Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook with captions like, "Cop tries to arrest wrong guy at gym," and "Veteran shuts down power-tripping officer." Inside, Sergeant Keller had separated Marcus and Officer Whittaker. Keller pulled Whittaker aside, his voice low but firm. "Brad, you're done here. Take a seat outside before you dig yourself deeper." "But Sarge, he fought me. He resisted." Keller leaned in close. "You pulled your weapon in a crowded gym. You're lucky no one's dead. Sit down." Whittaker's face burned crimson as he stomped toward the door, muttering under his breath. He glanced back at Marcus with eyes full of resentment, but Marcus didn't return the glare. He just stood still, arms folded across his chest, breathing steady. Keller turned to Marcus, lowering his tone. "Sir, I apologize for what just happened. I know who you are now. Marcus Hill Wright, former Navy SEAL." The room went still again. The gym members leaned in, whispers darting across the floor. Marcus gave a small nod. "I don't advertise it." "I know," Keller said, almost with respect, "but I recognize the name. You were decorated overseas. Saw your picture in a Navy Times article years back." Marcus sighed, the weight of memories pressing on him. "That life's behind me. I just come here to lift and mind my business. I didn't want any of this." Linda Cooper stepped forward, her phone still in hand. "And he didn't do anything wrong. We all saw it. That young officer was out of control. Marcus saved us from him pulling the trigger, if anything." Other gym members chimed in. "He's right. That cop nearly shot somebody." Marcus was calm the whole time. Keller raised a hand. "I hear you. We'll take everyone's statements." Then he looked back at Marcus. "If you're willing, we'll need yours too, but I want you to know, you handled yourself better than most would have." Marcus hesitated, then said quietly, "I handled it because I had to. If I lost my cool, you'd be chalking an outline on this floor." The truth of that hit everyone hard. The next day, the story exploded. Local news channels ran clips of Marcus twisting the baton out of Whittaker's hand and pinning his gun upward. National outlets picked it up. The headlines carried their own sting. "Officer nearly shoots innocent black veteran at Florida gym." "Former Navy SEAL subdues rookie cop in viral video." Marcus's phone blew up with messages. Old teammates from the teams, former commanders, even strangers thanking him for keeping his composure. But not all the attention was welcome. Protesters started gathering outside the Jacksonville Police Department, chanting Marcus's name, demanding Whittaker's badge. For Marcus, it felt like being shoved into a spotlight he never wanted. He wasn't an activist. He wasn't a politician. He just wanted peace. But now his face was everywhere. Whittaker, meanwhile, was suspended pending investigation. Reports surfaced that he had a history of complaints, mostly for aggressive conduct during minor stops. None had stuck before, but the video of Iron Forge left no room for spin. Sergeant Keller reached out to Marcus personally a few days later. They met at a quiet diner off Beach Boulevard. Keller slid into the booth across from him, removing his cap. "You didn't have to meet me," Marcus said, sipping black coffee. "I wanted to," Keller replied. He looked tired, lines under his eyes deepening. "I've been on this job 25 years. I've seen good cops, bad cops, and plenty in between. What happened that night, it was wrong. And I know you've probably been through worse, but that doesn't make it any less wrong." Marcus studied him, his silence heavier than words. Keller sighed. "Truth is, you embarrassed him, but more than that, you exposed him. And that's gonna ripple through the department. Some will hate you for it, others will thank you for it, but either way, you changed something." Marcus shook his head. "I didn't want to change anything, I just wanted to lift weights." "Yeah," Keller said with a bitter smile. "Funny how life doesn't care what we want." Weeks later, the firestorm hadn't died. Whittaker faced termination and possible charges for misconduct. Activists kept pushing Marcus forward as a symbol, but he resisted. When reporters shoved microphones in his face, he spoke only once. "I'm not a hero, I'm not a symbol. I'm a man who wanted to work out without being treated like a suspect because of my skin. I stayed calm because I had to, but not everyone gets the chance to. Remember that." Those words carried further than he expected. Veterans groups rallied behind him. Local leaders reached out. Even the mayor called to thank him for his restraint. And yet, when the cameras left and the chants faded, Marcus went back to Iron Forge gym. Same barbell, same chalk, same quiet focus. Because at the end of the day, Marcus Hill wasn't chasing fame, justice, or revenge. He was just trying to live. And sometimes, survival itself was enough of a statement.